Hej og velkommen tilbage til den her anden del af dagen, hvor vi skal se, om der måske kommer noget mere konkret på banen her i Adam Montgomery-sagen. Til dem, der ikke har set det før, sagen her handler om stjålne våben. Det handler om en mand, som havde en felony-straf i forvejen, altså en grov straf over i USA, der gør, at han ikke må eje våben. Han er nu tiltalt for at have stjålet en AR-15 og en Mossberg shotgun. Han har opbevaret den på sin adresse og har så videreskaffet dem til andre, måske i bytte for stoffer. Det er, hvad anklageren mener, der er sket. Forsvaren siger, at det er rigtigt nok, han har været med til at forsøge at sælge de her våben ved hjælp af en Facebook-gruppe. Der skal man måske lige vide, det er sjældent en ret god idé at forsøge at sælge ting på Facebook, i hvert fald der er ulovlige, fordi politiet kan få fat i det igen bagefter, når du er færdig med at sælge dine ting, så har de stadigvæk dine chatbeskeder. Især når du har sendt 1131 til en kammerat, der har gemt dem alle sammen. Indtil videre, så må vi sige, sagen, der er ikke rigtig noget i den, hvis vi kan sige det på den måde. Han er, de fik forklaret begge to, både anklageren og forsvaren, en troværdig fortælling. Så har der været en del vidner, der alle sammen bærer præg af, at de er alle sammen i stofmisbrugmiljøet. Det har især været crack og heroin, de har været på. Derfor så er alle dem, der har været oppe og vidne indtil videre, det er ikke det, jeg vil kalde verdens bedste vidner. Det er folk, som er meget præget af deres misbrug. Der er flere af dem, der stadigvæk virker noget omtåget, på trods af, at de alle sammen påstår, de er clean. Så kan de jo selvfølgelig godt være i et eller andet program, der gør, at de bliver metadon eller noget, så de stadigvæk er lidt påvirket. De har i hvert fald været meget påvirket. Indtil videre så har vi set konen til ham, der havde mistet våbnene. Angiveligt så skulle hun have festet voldsomt over 3 dage. Ham, Adam her, skulle så have været kommet på 3. dagen, på vej ind i 4. dagen, og skulle have været med til at skaffe stoffer til hende. Det kunne de ikke rigtig finde. Hun falder i søvn, og så er det så, at de her våben forsvinder. Så har vi hørt fra en kammerat, hvor de plejede at tage stoffer i hans kælder. Han siger, han har set en af riflerne. Adam har været hen og vist den. Han har måske også set shotgunnen. Men i hvert fald riflen, den har han set blevet solgt i en bil på en parkeringsplads til en eller anden makker, han ikke rigtig nærmere kan identificere. Men han er 100% sikker på, at den blev solgt der. Så har vi hørt fra nogen, der har boet i nærheden af dem senere hen, der siger, jamen, vi har hørt ham blære sig med, at han havde de her våben, og så har solgt dem. Så det er ikke sådan rigtigt det, der var det helt store i. Men det skulle der så være i dag, for i dag, der var der en, det er måske sådan lidt en overraskelse, det var hans ekskone, der skulle ind og vidne imod ham, eller faktisk hans nuværende kone, de er kun separeret, men hun skulle ind og forklare, at hun havde oplevet en masse ting, og mest af alt så fremstod det faktisk noget indstuderet, og alt det hun ikke kunne huske, lige snart at anklageren sagde, kan du huske sådan og sådan, så kunne hun lige pludselig huske det. Hey David, have fun at your trial. Men når hun så blev spurgt, kan du ikke huske, du har sagt det der, så kunne hun huske det hele. Det var ligesom hende, der skulle have bundet det hele sammen, og faktisk så endte hun med at modsige alle de andre vidner, stort set på de dele af forklaringen, der har med våbnene at gøre, ødelægger timelinen fuldstændig for konen. Hendes historie hænger slet ikke sammen i forhold til det testimony, der er kommet fra konen, og derfor så var det ikke et godt vidne, vi havde på i formiddags. Der var også et andet vidne fra en Walmart, men det var ligegyldigt. Det var bare, at han havde set på noget overvågningsvideo. Det var evigt ligegyldigt. Men indtil videre, så er der nogen, der påstår noget, men det er ikke verdens skarpeste vidner. Det bliver vi nok nødt til at erkende. Og de modsiger hinanden på nogle punkter, hvor jeg vil sige, kan det rejse en berettiget tvivl? For det er jo ligesom i Danmark, Det er ikke enhver tvivl, men enhver berettiget tvivl, der skal komme den tiltalte til gode. Det vil sige, at hænger den her historie sammen, eller bliver den lige pludselig bliver det lidt for fantasifuldt, og det må man sige, det blev. Hello and welcome back to part 2 of this trial. It's the Adam Montgomery trial. He's on trial for stealing 2 guns, an AR-15 and a Mossberg shotgun, having them at his house, even though he's a felon, so he can't possess firearm legally, and disposing of them by selling them to some people. It's day 3, and I'll have to say that so far, because we have to remember, even though this guy is also accused of killing his own daughter, that trial will be in August. We have to give him the benefit of the doubt, and the state has to prove that he has done the things that he's accused of. And I have to say, until now, it's hard to say that there is anything there in the witnesses we have. We have to remember this is a case where a lot of drug addicts are involved. The gun should allegedly be traded for some dope. I believe it was 10 grams of heroin he got for it at $80. And all the witnesses who have taken the stand have all been very, well, they have been very forgetful. They have had problems remembering any details, and every time they are pressed a bit about what do you remember, what don't you remember, they can't really seem to remember anything in details. Every time the prosecution has to say, well, didn't you say this and didn't you say that, and then they remember everything that they talked about with the prosecution and the police. Most of the witnesses have made some kind of deal with the police to get immunity or to get time off sentences. That again, does that make them less or more credible? Well, I get a feeling that if I was in the jury box, I would have a feeling that it seemed like they're paid to say what they're saying, and I have no evidence of that, and it could be true, but I'm a juror here in Denmark, and I have to go with my gut feeling like I do when I have cases in Denmark. And I just have the feeling that there's not enough here to say that he done it and he had the guns. But we'll pick up and see if they have any more witnesses, because today the ex-wife of the accused took the stand this morning. She was supposed to, in my opinion, have been the big witness to put everything straight, and she ended up poking holes in the other witnesses' explanations. So this case is not that clear. I have to say it's hard to. It would be hard for me to convict him, and there's, in my mind, there's no doubt this is not a good guy, and he will be back in court in August for the murder of his daughter, but we still have to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like any other case, even though we don't like him because he allegedly killed his own daughter, the state still has to prove that he did what they accused him of. So let's pick it up and see if they can show us that that he did it, or if they're not going all the way into the goal and making a touchdown. But let's see what they have to say this afternoon.
Just be careful walking around here. Thank you, sir.
Hey, Jamie. Hey, Josie. Oh, that's a police officer. Finally, someone who's not a drug addict.
Will be the truth, the whole truth, and the pains and penalties of perjury.
I do.
You can have a seat and make yourself comfortable. Can you start by stating and spelling your name for the record?
Detective Adam Bergeron Rosa, BERGERON-ROSA.
Thank you. And how are you presently employed?
Detective with the Manchester Police Department
How long have you been a detective with the Manchester Police Department?
since September of 2017.
And what is your current assignment? Detective. Are you in a particular unit?
I primarily do burglaries and property crimes.
And what are your duties and responsibilities as a detective with the Manchester Police Department?
To investigate cases that need further attention within the jurisdiction of Manchester, to include interviewing suspects, witnesses, involved parties, managing crime scenes, collecting physical evidence, and obtaining video and reviewing that video.
And to be a detective with the Manchester Police Department, does that require any specialized training or experience?
I have received specialized training and experience, yes.
And can you tell us what that is?
I went to 40-hour-a-week homicide school and crime scene processing, training in interview and interrogation, and forensic statement analysis, about 80 hours of fingerprint processing and collection, and crime scene photography, about well over 300 hours of other training.
And is that the training that you just described, is that continuing
training?
It
always continues.
How long have you been involved with law enforcement?
At the end of November, it will be 15 years.
And how long have you been a detective?
6.
Prior to the 6 years as a detective, what were your duties?
I was a patrol officer for the previous 9.
And for the previous 9, what agency or organization was that with?
Manchester.
Did you graduate from the New Hampshire Police Academy?
I did.
When did you graduate?
April of 2009.
Can you please describe your role and involvement in this case?
So on January 5th of 2022, I was asked by my superiors to use a program called Leads Online to look up pawn activity for Adam Montgomery, Kayla Montgomery, and Kelsey Small.
And you just mentioned Leads Online.
Yes.
What is Leads Online?
So it's a law enforcement pawn database that we have access to monitor secondhand transactions with pawn shops, jewelry stores, and eco ATMs.
Are you currently a liaison between the Manchester Police Department and Leads Online?
I am.
How long have you been in that role?
Probably 4 years.
And I think you mentioned you were asked to track information related to Kelsey Small.
Yes.
And so how does that work?
So I go on to the program, Leads Online, and I plug in the name, date of birth, whatever information that I have. And there's results that come up, whether through Sundexing or a direct match, and it shows their secondhand pawn transaction in history, what item that they sold. You have to use a valid photo ID to do so. So you get your privilege to that, a picture of the seller as they were that day, and what company or business received that item and sold, provided the seller cash for the item.
Did your search with respect to Kelsey Small yield results?
Yes, it did.
Did you review the results?
I did.
If you saw them today, would you recognize them?
I would.
Oh, so that's why we had the Walmart guy on testifying about the ATM this morning to show that it was those 3 people who were at the ATM, and probably this guy pushed something out of fished something out of the ATM or something about what they put into the ATM. Finally, some hard evidence in this case, not just junkies talking about what they think they saw when they were doing drugs. What's the problem, Elaine? We're just back from lunch and she's already making me regret not postponing this to tomorrow. For anyone who's following along, tomorrow the court is off. The judge has to do some drug court, so it's a day off tomorrow. But maybe the defense rests in the Travis Rudolph case tomorrow, so we can be on verdict watch if David has verdict watch on. So just have to finish Elaine's babbling for another couple of hours, and then it's a day off tomorrow. Hello, Wendy. You came back just as I lost my will to live because Elaine started making objections. We're having the first police officer on the stand today. He's going to talk about some porn stuff, and not the fun kind of porn, but the one where you get money if you give other people. Well, that could be the other kind of porn too. The one where you go into a shop and they take your valuables and give you money. That kind of porn. Elaine is making me going incoherent and down a rabbit hole too. I'm really interested in what's so damning about this evidence, since everybody is shaking their head and she has to object. Is the pink shirt working for him? Pink and blue, that's not a nice look, is it? Maybe it's from Goodwill, that's why he just took the one that was cleanest.
So Detective Bergeron Rose, I'm handing you what's been marked for identification as States Exhibits 46A through E, and I'm just going to ask you to look through those and describe, or just look through those and look up.
These are certified records of those transactions from EcoATM.
Okay, and are those true and correct?
Yes, they are.
And Your Honor, at this point, I move to strike the ID and mark this fully.
Any objection other than the one at the bench? Subject to the one that's been overruled. The ID may be stricken and it's entered as a full exhibit.
Bum 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 bum. We're getting off to a slow start.
You mentioned receiving the records that you just looked at. What did you do next in your investigation?
Well, after finding those transactions, we want those items for the investigation that we're conducting. And so I called EcoATM to facilitate obtaining those from the company.
I'm just going to ask you to please keep your voice up. It's a big room and all the jurors need to be able to hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So if I heard you correctly, you said you wanted those items.
Yes, for the investigation.
The records that you just looked at, did they contain evidence of sale transactions?
Yes, they did.
Do you know what those transactions were related to?
Yes.
The seller was Kelsey Small, and it contained 4 items. One being a Samsung Galaxy 12, the second being a Samsung Galaxy A01 phone, a Samsung tablet, and then a Alcatel cell phone. And they were sold to the EcoATM Koisk on December 30th of 2021.
And when you say you wanted those items for your investigation, those are the items that you're referring to?
Those specific ones, yes.
Did you collect those items?
I did.
When you collect evidence as a detective, how do you log it?
Normal practice is your initials 1 through however far you go.
And I think you had mentioned a Samsung cell phone A01 cell phone. Do you remember how you identified that item?
ABR4.
What was your next step in your part in this investigation?
Well, then I then contacted, during this whole process, I contacted EcoATM and requested permission in their policy on downloading the contents of those cell phones.
Did they consent to the search of those cell phone or the items that were seized?
Yes, they did.
They have
Searching
not
cell
been
phones,
stupid
is that
enough
something
to
that you
take
do as a
pictures.
detective?
Not me personally, no.
Did you hand those items off to someone else?
I did to Detective Krozik.
Did you take additional steps during your part in this investigation?
I did.
And can you tell the jury what that was?
So this Eco ATM, this POIS kiosk was in Walmart at 725 Gold Street in Manchester. So it's in the customer service center, and that's monitored by Walmart Video. So I requested the video from the loss prevention officer, Mike Doby, of those transactions when they were occurring for the investigation.
And those records that you looked at, was there a date on those records?
Yes, December 30th, 2021.
Did you obtain the footage from Walmart from December 30th of 2021 for that relevant time period?
Yes, I did.
And did you log that into evidence?
I did.
What did you log it into evidence as?
ABR 2.
If I could have just a moment.
So there's something on the electronic devices they put into
Your Honor,
the
I pass
Eco
the
ATM.
witness.
Elaine, you can't have any questions.
I'm going to show you, sorry, can't get rid of it. A copy of what has been marked state
Elaine,
security for ID.
I love you so much, but please use a mic.
Tell me what that is.
That is the Samsung A01 cell phone packaging, ABR 4.
Okay, that might have been a bad question. Is that the packaging for a piece of evidence?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's what we do.
Is that what you packaged it in?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so, and which piece of evidence? I know that you said it.
Oh, this is the Samsung Galaxy Model A01 cell phone.
I move to strike the ID, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objection.
All right, the ID is stricken.
And the jury is going to have a copy of this back with them. But the packaging that you have this in is a yellow,
It's a manila envelope.
but it has like insulation, the bubbles inside, so it's not just a flat envelope.
Oh, yes. Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the top, there is a red thing.
Piece
That's
of,
Tell the
evidence
jury
tape.
what that is?
Evidence tape.
Okay, we were talking at the same time, so let's try and avoid it, okay? So essentially, you take an item that you've collected for evidence, put it in an envelope, and close the envelope, and then put this red tape on top, right?
Right.
And the reason that you do it is that if somebody tries to get inside that envelope that you have put the evidence in, you'll know it, right?
Yes, I will.
Because to get inside, they'll either have to rip the envelope or rip the tape, right?
Correct.
And so when you package something and you have the tape where you put it in to seal that off, if somebody's going to open a piece of evidence, they generally leave that tape alone and open the envelope somewhere else, right?
Depends on the person.
Okay. So one way to do it is if you want to get access to the cell phone, instead of going through where you have the red tape on top, somebody might cut an entry along the side and take the item of evidence out of the package that way, right?
It's within the realm of possibilities.
Okay. And when somebody, however they do it,
Mhm.
when they put an item of evidence back in its packaging, they tape up the area that they opened up, right?
Of course.
And they put their initials and the date when that happens, right?
Yes.
So that from the packaging alone, you can tell a lot about how many times an item has been handled, opened up, right?
Correct.
The dates, because the dates are on the each piece of tape, right?
Yep.
And the person who went in, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that is one of the ways that you keep track of evidence, right?
Yes.
To make sure that nobody's gone inside and tampered with it.
Mhm.
Right? Because you want to keep that piece of evidence from the moment it comes into your possession as clean as possible till the point that it may or may not be used in court, right?
Correct.
And that if there is something that is changed in that piece of evidence, it is identified all along the way so it can be explained in court what has changed.
Chain of custody.
Okay, thank you.
So someone tampered
Yes,
with
you
the
may sit down.
evidence.
Thank you.
This witness is excused.
There's probably going to be another police officer telling us what he downloaded from the electronic device. But it seems like there's some technicality with the tape.
At this time, the state will call Detective Luke Crossing to the stand, please.
Blue Crossing. But if she can get them on not marking the evidence correctly, that would be a good thing for her. I don't know what's on it, but again, it shows that some shenanigans went on,
Call the bailiff. Just watch your
or
step.
probably went on.
Take the witness.
Good afternoon, sir. Just be careful going around here for me, please.
Thank you, sir. You could just remain standing for a brief moment. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the testimony that you will give this jury will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I'll be God.
I do.
Thank you. Please feel free to have a seat. Excuse me just a minute. Detective. I want to make sure that this is properly set up. There we go. Thank you. I apologize for the delay. Detective, since we're being recorded here today, would you please state your full name, spelling both your first and your last name for the record?
Louis Krasik, KLOUIS, KRAWCZYK,
And Detective Krasik, where are you currently employed?
the Manchester Police Department,
How long have you been working with them?
since 2001.
And are you a full-time certified officer with them?
Yes,
And how long, since 2001 or before?
2003, I became certified.
2003. Okay, thank you. Did you attend the New Hampshire State Police Training Academy and for a full-time academy class?
Yes,
And what was your graduating class number on that?
131.
131. What are some of the different duties that you have currently at the Manchester Police Department?
I'm in the cybercrime division as a detective, and I work with electronic evidence.
How long have you been working with different types of electronic evidence?
About 6 years.
Could you talk a little bit with regards to the training that you've had over those 6 years or even before with respect to electronic evidence and also with
This
respect to any
foundational,
training that you've had on searching
where they have to
cellular
prove that they
telephones?
know what they're talking about. It just takes so
I've
long.
had training and certifications through Celebrite, which is one of the main manufacturers of equipment for extractions. I've had a lot of training through the U.S. Secret Service. They have a facility in Alabama that provides training for digital devices. I've also had a lot of classes through magnet forensics and some forensic certifications.
Do you still attend regular training sessions to keep up to date with the latest practices in technology?
Yes, to my wife's chagrin.
Okay. And as part of your work with the Manchester Police Department, do you conduct data extractions from cell phones?
Yes,
Over the years, approximately, if you could even give us a number, how many different cell phones have you extracted data from?
I'd say it's in the thousands.
In the thousands.
Yes.
In that case, I'd like to ask you about cell phones in general, and if you could kind of educate all of us here in the room a little bit. When it comes to an identifier for a cell phone, what is an IMEI number?
It's a unique identifying number that follows a global standard, and it's unique to an individual device, so the carriers can identify that particular phone.
So roughly, I mean, how many digits are we talking about in this number?
I think it's 15.
15? Okay. And with regards to that number, you said it is unique. How is it unique? Well, what does a cell phone do with its IMEI number, and how does that information get communicated to, let's say, a cell phone carrier or wireless carrier?
It's basically works like a serial number. So it's an individual number for that phone, but it follows a global pattern. So different companies are not reusing the same number. It's always a unique number, unlike a serial number, which a different company can reuse the same number.
Okay.
The carrier, when you're using your phone, can determine what the IMEI number is.
So this phone that I have from the state of New Hampshire, this has its own unique IMEI number,
At least one, yes.
at least one. And is it unique to any phone that's owned by the same person, or is it unique to the handset itself?
It's unique to the handset.
The handset. In connection with the investigation into Adam Montgomery, did you extract data from a cell phone that was provided to you by Detective Adam Bergeron Rosa that was labeled evidence number ABR4?
Yes.
Okay. And that particular cell phone that you received, did that have an IMEI number of 352-082-509-319-804?
Yes.
Generally, how is data extracted from a phone? So you can explain to the jury, how did you get information off this phone? What does it look like? What's the physical process you put it through?
There's two parts. There's hardware and software components, and there's with companies that specialize in, they make devices and software specifically to get evidence from phones. So on a typical phone, I'll plug the phone into a hardware device. The software will copy everything off the phone, and then we have that extraction, the files that come from that, we run it through a second program that figures out what all that stuff is and puts it in a report.
So it basically organizes the information into a report for you?
Yes.
With respect to the extraction from the phone you were given from Detective Adam Bergeron Rosa, the ABR4 cell phone, how did that proceed?
It's funny that
I
nobody
put in a
makes
request
a fuss
for me.
about it. It's
I got the phone
the
for
program
evidence,
that makes
and I
the
plugged it
report
into a device we have
instead of
called
people. That
perform the extraction.
it's
So the jury understands. How do you
if I was a defense lawyer, I could maybe say, well, how do you
There's
make sure
ports on
it's
the
the
box
right
on the Reiki itself,
way it's
and we
made
plug the
into a
phone
report?
it
But
using the data
what
port
do I
on the
know?
phone.
The software gray key, is that the hardware or the software, or is it both?
Gray key is more considered hardware. It's running software, but it just extracts the data from the phone. It doesn't do the interpretation.
Were you able to extract data from the cell phone that was labeled ABR4?
Yes.
Okay. What was done with that data once you extracted it?
Then I use Celebrite, which is software that will make a report. It'll determine what all that data is.
And how does it organize the data for you? If we were using a Celebrite software right now, what would it look like?
It breaks it up into categories. There's a list on the left, like a table of contents, and it'll split it up by the type of data. So there'll be one category for text messages and one for the call log and one for pictures and videos.
Did you save the data in the report that you generated for this phone that was labeled as ABR4?
Yes.
Okay. And how did you save it? What label did you give it?
I believe I gave it LJK5.
What did you do with that information in that report as you've saved it once you made it? Where did it go?
I put the evidence copy into our evidence division, the LJK5, and then I gave a copy to Detective Bergeron Rosa.
Were photographs of the phone taken as part of the extraction process?
Yes.
Let me show you what's already been marked. States Exhibit 20. Do you recognize that photo?
Yes.
Okay, what's that a photo of?
That's a photo of the packaging of the phone before I open it.
This is before you opened it?
Yes.
Did you take this photo or somebody else?
I took that.
You take this photo. And separate from that, I'd like to show you what's been marked for identification purposes only at this time, States Exhibit 21. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Okay. What do you recognize that to be?
That's the backside of the phone, ABR4.
That's the backside of the physical phone itself?
Yes.
And other than the fact that it's on a larger pieces of paper with a small little red sticker at the bottom, is there any differences to that photo from when you remember seeing that phone before doing your analysis versus when you see it today?
No.
At this time, I would ask for the identification from States Exhibit 21.
An objection? No, you're not. All right, the ID is stricken. It's entered as a full exhibit.
She looks just as bored as I am.
Exhibit 20 is here on the large screen. Do you recognize that to be Exhibit 20 that I just showed you?
Yes.
All right, I'd like to go ahead and draw your attention to the label that's in the middle of the screen. So did the label itself tell you that this was in fact the phone that was ABR4, labeled as ABR?
Yes.
From that, I'd like to also jump now to State's Exhibit 21 and direct your attention to the screen here. Is this the back of that particular phone, or that you recovered from that envelope?
Yes, it is.
And I'll draw your attention to the lower sticker that's provided here. Do you see the red box on the screen?
Yes.
Okay. We'll zoom into that. Did you read out the IMEI number on this phone?
352-082-5093-19804.
So this is that same phone that we're talking about, this consistent number with an IMEI number that goes back to this particular phone. Is that right?
Yes.
Did you review any of the data that you extracted from this phone yourself, or did you do some limited review of that?
Yes.
Did the data extraction process off of this phone also provide information as to whether or not it had been logged into any Facebook Messenger accounts at any time?
Yes, it did.
Can cell phones that have information deleted from them still have relevant information for an investigation?
Yes.
And the jurors are probably already likely aware of Facebook and Facebook Messenger, but just for the record, what is Facebook and how does Facebook Messenger work?
Facebook is a terrible social media app where people can post things and share with our friends and family. Messenger started as being in part of the Facebook app where people could send direct messages to each other. Now they also have a separate app, so you can use it within Facebook or in the separate app.
Returning to the data then that was extracted, or actually I should ask this about Facebook Messenger. The accounts on Facebook Messenger, do they have any specific number or an account ID that is associated with each account that they have, that exists?
Yes.
Returning to the data then extracted from the phone, as we see, the same phone that we're seeing here on State's Exhibit 21 on the screen with that IMEI number, were you able to see whether a Facebook Messenger account with the account number of 100000900788503 was ever logged into that phone or accessed from that phone?
Yes.
And did you look at the user account that was extracted from this phone for that Facebook?
I really don't get why you can't make a stipulation to this before you go to court. Everybody knows that what Facebook is, and the jurors don't know anything about all the other stuff. It's not important. It's technical. You will never go home and think, "Whoa, the IMI number in my phone. What could it be?" Oh, Elaine is on.
So you have been a detective, I think you said for 6 years?
Nope.
I've
was
been in
last
cyber
one.
crimes for about 6 years. I was a detective for a couple of years before that.
Okay. So you you were in cyber crimes in 2019.
Yes.
You were in cyber crimes on October and November of 2019.
Yes.
And you did an extraction of a phone for John Sargent in November of 2019. Does that sound right?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay. Well, let me ask you another question or two. And, well, if I showed you a copy of a report, would that help refresh your recollection?
I believe so.
Does she have anything, or is she just gonna ramble on with something that is gonna lead to nowhere? I really can't stand these technical detectives that has to explain everything for 20 minutes just to say, yeah, I saw the phone, I had the phone, I extracted the data from the phone.
So it may take a little bit to make the connections here, but I will start with first a copy of a report prepared. Well, can you tell me what this document is?
That looks like a report for a cell phone extraction.
And what's the date prepared by you?
Yes.
And what is the date of that report?
November 4th, 2019.
Okay, so is there a case number on that report?
Yes.
And what is that case number?
19-15480.
19 dash what?
Oh my God.
15480.
You put it in front of him. Why
I'm going to show you a
didn't you
series
find
of
it before?
documents.
Ask him. It can't be a surprise he's taking the stand. It takes so long and it's so boring. And the juror is just sitting over there and thinking, when can I get out of here? And now she does what she does all the time. She's just wasting time shuffling papers around because she wasn't prepared to do this
I'm
cross-examination.
going to show you another document. I've actually got a whole bunch of documents clipped here, but I think need to show you the first page of that. Do you recognize what that first page is?
It's the first page of report.
Okay. What is the date of that report?
1/20/20.
Date and time report. Oh, that's
sorry.
reported. Okay.
Oh my
So
God,
that
she
is
took
a
the
report
wrong
on
one
an
again.
incident that was reported in 10/22/2019.
Yes.
And what is the date? What is the case number of that?
19-15480.
Okay, is the case number of the report of an incident that happened 10/22/2019? Is that the case number as the extraction report that you did in November of 2019?
Yes,
Okay. And do you remember the name John Sargent?
I do not.
Okay. Do you recall?
Move to the
asked.
point. Why isn't she ready for her own Yeah. Oh, I can't say that. We're only 45 minutes in. Again, she's not prepared to do her own
To go back
cross-examination.
to that report, to take location data from that report so that it could be tracked on Google Earth. Do you recall that?
Not specifically for this case, but I can look at the next page if you want me to review it.
Sure. And this was a task that you were given with regard in April of 2022, right?
I don't know. It's
Okay.
not an uncommon thing, so
All right. I'm going to show you a copy of a police report. By the way, who's Detective Rayhill?
as one of the Manchester detectives.
And was he the lead on the case of State versus Adam Montgomery?
No, I don't
Who was
believe so.
the lead?
There was multiple officers working on it. I don't know who's considered the lead.
Do you recall that he was one of the officers working on it?
A lot of people were working on it, so I don't know the list.
Again, something she's asking that she didn't know what the answer was.
Document. But you did say that Detective Rayhill worked on this case, right?
I couldn't say for sure, but I think it's consistent.
Okay. I'm going to show you a copy of this police report and see if that refreshes your recollection if you were asked to pull out prior extraction on a phone of John Sargent in 2022.
I'll be right back.
Does that
There's someone
refresh
at the
your
door.
recollection?
I don't remember specifically. This isn't my report, but
Right.
like I said, it's not uncommon for me to do that.
Okay, that you might go to another older case and pull out information that you had already extracted to see if you could find something relevant to the new case.
I get asked to look at the extraction and put it in a different form.
Mhm.
I'm not usually investigating the case. I'm just assisting with the technical aspects of it. So the information is already in the report, and I would move it to a different form.
Okay, and in this case, you don't recall if you were asked to look at Jonathan Sargent's phone and see if there was location data on it?
I do that frequently. I just don't know. This is the first time I'm hearing of this in quite a while, so I just don't remember specifically this case.
So back in April of 22, you may have been asked that, but it's just not registering right now. You're not saying yes or no?
He said he did more than 1,000 cell phones. He doesn't
State.
remember.
It's not you may or may not have been asked to do it. It's something that you don't recall right now.
Not
Ask-
specifically.
answer.
I don't usually get much into the names of the cases. I just do what they ask for.
Okay, okay.
I really hope she has a point somewhere. Is she trying to imply that he didn't do his job correctly? Or did someone tamper with the evidence? Did she fall asleep? Why is it taking so long to ask a guy who just downloaded some data, put the data into a program? That program told him this is a text message, this is a Facebook message. And then a detective looked at it.
Okay. Thank you then.
Can anyone tell me why she used more than a second?
You just asked a moment ago about location information on the phone. Could you just describe for the jury, what is location information on the phone?
It's a
Phones
geotag.
can store location information in a couple different ways. They keep different databases. Sometimes pictures have the location embedded, or they use it for advertising and tracking your phone, and some of that information can be recovered in the extraction.
Sometimes it's recovered, sometimes is it not?
Correct.
Okay. And the information is that, I know this is gonna sound like a stupid question, I apologize, but that's information I mentioned that follows the phone rather than follows the owner, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Anything further? All right, you may step down.
Thank you.
Again, I know why the state
The
brought him.
objection?
What?
So excuse for the day for sure.
Okay. You may be excused for the day.
If she had any problems with the evidence envelope, this should be the guy she should be asking about it, I would guess. Because when he's finished with the phone, everything is stored electronically. But I'm not sure she understands what she's trying to get
Your
to.
Honor, at this time, the state would call Detective Brian Olson to the stand.
It's amazing that a lawyer would waste 5 minutes in a case talking about something that she effed up so badly, so fast, and she doesn't even know the facts. It's
Please, go ahead and take the stand. Watch yourself.
I can't understand why you would ask anything you're not sure what the answer is going to be, especially from a police officer.
Please raise your right hand. You
It's-
solemnly swear that the testimony you will give this jury will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
It's just amazing to see how bad a job some of these defense
Since we're
lawyers
being
are
recorded here,
doing.
would you please state your full name, spelling your first and last for the record?
Ryan Olson, RyanOlsen.
And Detective Olson, where are you currently employed?
Currently employed by the Manchester, New Hampshire Police Department
How long have you been working for Manchester?
since 2015.
2015.
Yep.
Any law enforcement experience before working for the Manchester Police Department?
Yes, prior I was employed by the Concord, New Hampshire Police Department since 2014.
In 2014. So 1 year in Concord and then Manchester since 2015. Is that
Yes, sir.
right? And I take it, are you a full-time certified officer with the Manchester Police Department?
I am.
Since you've been with the Manchester Police Department, what are some of the different work assignments you've had? I'm going to assume that you started in patrol, but you could kind of go on and tell us about some of the different units that you've been assigned to.
Yeah, so starting patrol, like you said. From there, I was selected.
Again, this is the part we should just be able to skip through. Just, yes, we know you're a police officer. Yes, we know you have some training. Yes, we know that you've been in different departments. It's again, it's just time consuming for no reason. And why can't they just have that cleared before they go into the room? The jury doesn't remember when he started, where he started, or what he did before he went onto this stand.
And are there any different units besides those that the ones that you get current assignment to? Are there any other units that you serve or that you help the Manchester Police Department with?
Yeah, I'm also currently assigned to the entry team and the breaching unit for the SWAT team
How long have you been with the SWAT team?
since 2020.
2020. So you were not on the SWAT team in 2019.
I was not.
In 2019, which one of those units were you working with?
The street crime unit.
And were you ever involved in a search of an apartment at 315 East High Street in Manchester on October 22nd, 2019?
I was.
What was your role in executing that search warrant?
Just to hold on to detained parties as the apartment's getting cleared. Once the apartment was deemed safe by SWAT, searching the apartment.
So this is a SWAT search, or sorry, a SWAT operation to be able to get control of the building itself, and then your team goes in,
It
or are you
was.
part of theirs?
No, we were strictly outside waiting until it's deemed clear by the SWAT team at that time.
Did you have a court-ordered search warrant before conducting this search?
We did.
And with regards to that, if you could explain, or first of all, were you present when the SWAT team first made entry into the home?
I was outside. Yes.
You were outside. Okay. Why weren't you with them?
Just due to the high threat level that was deemed to be inside.
Mhm.
It was strictly for the SWAT team to execute the search warrant based on that. They trained for that. That is specifically what the SWAT team trains for.
Okay. And after they made the home secure, people were safe. At that point, what were you assigned to do?
At that point, I was assigned to search the residence. I was tasked with searching a bedroom on the east side, inside of the apartment.
On the east side of the apartment.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is October 22nd, 2019. I'd like to go ahead and show you state exhibits 22, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32.
We can pick up every sniff he makes, every cough that's in the courtroom, but we can't hear the attorneys when they're away from the microphone. It's amazing. You have better sound using just a webcam than those court mics.
The state, Your Honor, I understand that there is no objection. The state, no objection from the defendant. We're going to ask that the state's exhibit 28 through, again, 31, 32 have the identification stricken.
No objection?
No objection.
The ID is stricken. They're entered as full exhibits.
So I'm going to go ahead and show you the same series of exhibits, exhibits 28 through 32. I want to show them to you individually, and then we'll put them up on the screen in a few minutes, and I'll ask some additional questions.
Okay.
Do you recognize this one first, starting with State's Exhibit 28?
I do.
Okay. What do you recognize that to be?
315 East High Street.
Okay. And based upon this photo, do you know the approximate time that this photo was taken? Now, I don't mean time of day. I just mean whether it was anywhere near the time of your search warrant.
Yeah, that would be after it was deemed safe, most likely, by the SWAT team prior to the actual search by detectives.
I'd like to show you now State's Exhibit 29. What do you recognize that photo to be?
Room E, the bedroom, room E, which is situated on the east side of the apartment.
Is that the bedroom that you searched? Bedroom that was labeled E?
It was.
Okay. And if you could explain to the jury, most people don't have letters on the outside of their bedroom doors. How do rooms get certain classifications or numbers, letters, when you're going to do a search like this?
Yeah, so for ease of searching, prior to actually everybody diving in, each detective and searching part of the apartment, each room is given a letter for ease of searching. So I searched room E, so-and-so detective searched room A, just ease of use for the report. So you're not constantly saying bedroom, east side in the center of the apartment. You say room E in your report. It's a lot easier.
Okay. I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 30, State's Exhibit 30 now. Do you recognize that photo?
I do.
Okay. And what do you recognize that photo to be?
Guns that are situated in the northeast corner of the apartment or the bedroom.
Was that your bedroom, the bedroom E that we were just talking about?
It was.
And State's Exhibit 31.
That is a Stag Arms firearm, rifle, serial number 57760.
And State's Exhibit 32.
And that is a close-up of the serial number along with the make and origin of the firearm.
Okay. I'd like to leave these photos with you. If you can't see the resolution on
So,
the screen, please feel free to.
This is
refer
the
back.
AR-15 that they recovered.
That being said, let's go ahead and show you State's Exhibit 28 on the big screen. Do you recognize that? I'm sorry, what address do you recognize that to be again?
315 East High.
And we're going to go ahead and zoom
That's a
in
nice
on
house.
the door area. Is that the same door that you entered to be able to do your search?
It was.
And separate from that, going to State's Exhibit 29 now. Tell us what we're looking at here.
So this is room E. This is the bedroom on the east side of the apartment, and it's centralized in the apartment just off of the kitchen.
Now, with regards to this particular room, part of what were the different things that were listed in the search warrant that you were supposed to be looking for?
Drugs, U.S. currency, ledgers, firearms, anything in that nature.
And approximately how much drugs did you find in this home?
I believe there was about 850 grams of crystal methamphetamine, about 56 grams of fentanyl, and some miscellaneous pills along with marijuana.
Did you say almost 850 grams of methamphetamine?
I did.
It's the fentanyl you should
During
be
the
worried
search,
about.
did you find
That's a crazy
multiple
amount.
firearms in this bedroom?
Yes, sir, we did.
Moving on now to State's Exhibit 30. What are we looking at here?
That is a photo of a few firearms in the northeast corner of the apartment.
And I would ask you if you could just step down from the witness stand with the court's permission and just show us where the firearms are in the photo. Just go ahead and point it out. Thank you.
Looked like three
Let me now
AR-15s.
turn to State's Exhibit 31.
That is the overview of a Stag Arms rifle that was located in that northeast corner of the same bedroom.
The house looked nicer from the
And
outside.
You read the serial number, I believe, for us before. I'm going to go to State's Exhibit 32. Could you go ahead and read that serial number again?
Yes, it's serial number 57760.
How many other guns did you find in the search of this bedroom?
I believe we located approximately 8 guns. 2 were ultimately identified as BB guns, if I recall.
So 2, so out of the 8, plus this one, so that's what, 6 other
Yes, sir.
operable firearms?
Yes, sir.
And you told us again about 850 grams of methamphetamine. Working as an officer of the Manchester Police Department since 2015, you said before you've worked on patrol, you worked street crimes, you've worked with SIU, you've worked with other things with gangs as well. Do you have familiarity with common and generalized drug purchase amounts?
I do.
The pounds of methamphetamine seized, 850 grams, is that something that you know to be associated with individual use or with dealing?
No, that was definitely dealing.
And the owner of this particular bedroom, the person who was residing in this bedroom, what was that person's name?
Jonathan Sargent.
Did you have a description of Jonathan Sargent before you went ahead and conducted this search?
Yes, he was a white male with red hair.
And
Virginia.
do you know if he was ever convicted by any agency for the items that were inside of his room?
Yeah, I believe he was ultimately, or he took a plea deal in federal court. And he's currently incarcerated until 2031 in Greenville, Illinois.
And you said in federal court.
Yes, sir.
So was that matter, or do you know if that matter was prosecuted by the United States Department of Justice?
It was.
And do you know, with regards to his conviction, what was his conviction for? Possession or possession?
Yeah, what relevance does it have for
What,
this
if anything,
case?
do you know about the charge that he pled guilty to?
I was trafficking with firearms and drugs.
And drugs.
Yes, sir.
Just a moment, please.
That's a pretty big score.
I'd like to thank you very much. for your
800
time.
grams.
Any further questions for you? I believe Attorney Smith.
I do. My name's Caroline Smith, and I do have some follow-up questions. So John Sargent was arrested the day of the search, right?
Yes, ma'am.
He was arrested on an arrest warrant,
Yes.
right? And the search warrant was prepared prior to going there to his residence on October 22nd.
It was.
And you were a participant member of the street crimes unit, right?
I was in the street crime unit. Yes, ma'am.
And you were, so this was a process that took a little bit of time to gather all the intel on John Sargent, to prepare the arrest warrant and prepare the search warrant and prepare the plan for arresting Mr. Sargent and entering the home.
Yes.
And it was a fair amount of days between the investigation and all of that, right?
Yes.
Probably a week or two from the determination that you were gonna arrest Mr. Sargent to actually executing the warrant.
I don't know the exact time frame. I know when you have an investigation, obviously it goes on. For Mr. Sargent, it was controlled buys. And from there, whatever the time was that they said, hey, we have enough, we're going to write the search warrant on the arrest warrant, that's when it was.
Okay. And you said one of his convictions was trafficking in firearms.
Yes.
And one
And
thing
drugs.
that you said on direct was
Oh, come on, Eileen.
about really 6 guns because 2 were BB guns.
Mhm.
And a substantial amount of ammunition was in there as well.
We didn't hear
Right.
anything.
Crystal methamphetamine was a substantial amount. There was ammunition. I can't attest to how much was in there. I don't recall.
Okay, you recall that there was a lot.
That there was ammunition? There was ammunition, yes.
And, sorry, I was almost talking over you. There was ammunition for various types of firearms, right?
I believe so.
Okay. And there were other weapons there as well, right?
Yes.
Brass knuckles,
Yes.
a crossbow,
Yes.
and different brands of guns.
Yes.
Okay. So
Where are we going?
there were several pictures of, and I think you still have them there, taken, those pictures must have been taken on the day of the search, right?
They were.
Okay. And they reveal what some of the items that were recovered, and the stag itself was one of the ones recovered by you.
Yes.
And Mr. Sargent's phone was also recovered.
I believe so. Yes, ma'am.
And you were the one that recovered the stag. So I'm going to ask you to take a look at State's Exhibit 33. Is that the stag firearm that you collected?
It should be. I just need to see the serial number to confirm. I want to take it and flip it.
Maybe
If
some
you
gloves?
want
Flip
to.
it. The serial number.
There. Does it look like?
It looks like it, but I'm not, without saying that this, I can't see the serial number, I'm not gonna.
Does
say
it
that
look
that's
like
Sure,
an
so.
AR-15?
And
Is it the
speaking of
most
serial
popular gun
numbers,
in the
serial
US
numbers
right now?
are the way that, oops, my back's to the dirt. Serial numbers are the way that you track a firearm, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because one firearm can look exactly like another one, right?
They could.
And as a matter of fact, most brands look pretty much like, well, models within a brand are expected to look alike, right?
Within the same brand? Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, there's the gun looked kind of shiny in the picture, and it doesn't look so shiny now. Do you know why?
because there was a
believe it was
flashlight.
Fingerprinted, I'm not sure.
Okay, and, so what you're seeing, you believe to be the residue from the fingerprinting process?
I believe so.
Okay, and actually, there's some red tape here that has been cut to allow me to open, or anyone to open this box, right?
The evidence tape?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And I'd like you to look at this piece of evidence tape. And can you read what the evidence tape says right along there? Right there.
State Police Forensic Lab.
Okay, so it's the forensic lab. And can you read a date? Is this another piece of that tape?
Oh, this one, Forensic Lab?
And then the date that's there.
Well, this one looks to be on regular evidence. This one is the Forensic Lab going this way.
Okay, so the date is not associated with their lab?
Well, it's touching it. It says 4/12/22.
Okay. All right. And do you know if it was fingerprinted as a result of your investigation into, assuming that it was fingerprinted?
I'm assuming it's fingerprinted. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Assuming that it is, do you know if that was in relationship to your investigation into John Sargent?
Yes, but it was not my investigation to John Sargent.
Okay, so that's something that would be done to try and track evidence from the gun itself.
Yes, ma'am.
And another thing that you might want to do is, if you had a suspect, you might want to try getting DNA from the gun to track its movements in a sense.
You could.
Do you know if it was done in reference to the John Sargent case?
I do not know.
When you collected that gun, did you make any connection in October 22nd, 2019 to a missing stag AR-15 firearm report from October 3rd regarding the Fran firearms?
I did not.
Okay. And when you collect a firearm like this, that's a pretty dangerous weapon and is in the hands of somebody who it shouldn't be, right?
Mhm.
So one of the things that you might do is put it into NCIC to check the ownership of the firearm, right?
Yes, dispatch would run the serial number to see if it came back as stolen.
Okay, and one of the reasons to do this is
Come on,
maybe
Eileen.
if there's an open case about a firearm, you can close the case, but another reason is, was this firearm stolen or did somebody give it away? Because that might be a crime as well, right?
Correct.
And did you participate in any of that sort of activity after you collected the stag firearm?
Yeah, I don't know if I ran it. There's multiple people in the house. It always gets run at some point in time, the serial number, to see if it's through NCIC by dispatch.
Okay, and if you ran the serial number and it came up as a stolen firearm for someone else, that person should get alerted to the location of that police department should be alerted to the fact that this stolen firearm has been found.
I'm sorry, can you?
Sure,
Thank you.
I have to think of how to do that, hold on.
Oh my God.
When you put the serial number of a gun through NCIC
Mhm.
and you run that, if it comes up as a stolen weapon, then the department involved in the report on the stolen weapon can get advised.
Yes.
And there's a Russell Street in Manchester, right?
There is.
And Hill Street was where you found this gun, was
East
Manchester.
High Street.
High Street, thank you. Is in Manchester, right?
It is.
And you work for the Manchester Police Department, right?
I do.
Okay.
Am everybody just as lost as me? Again, she's asking questions. I don't even know what she want. I understand the look on his face. What does Russell Street and Manchester Police has to do with anything? Does,
I'm going to show you a copy.
we heard in
You,
the
off
beginning of
the
the
top of
trial
your
there was
head,
a
identify
problem
the
with
case name
the serial
that you
number.
went, and executed that search warrant on?
The case name
The case number for Manchester Police Department?
for the search warrant? No, I don't recall.
If I showed you a copy of the report, do you think that might refresh your recollection about the case number?
Yes, 19-015480.
Thank you.
He has the same look as me, utter bewildered over
Nothing further, thank you.
why. Why ask those questions?
Called 19-015480, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Just had read a moment ago.
Yes, sir.
Were you able to review the search warrant, specifically that Detective Horn had obtained to make that search at 315 East High Street?
I do not.
Are you aware of whether that search warrant was for one count sale of a controlled drug versus for trafficking in guns?
I was not aware.
How many different people did you see get escorted outside of that house, or are you aware of that were escorted outside of that house before the search could take place?
There was a good amount of people,
More or less than 10?
probably right around there.
Right around 10. So thank you very much, Detective Wilson. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. I think, did you say that you found the Stag firearm in Jonathan Sargent's room?
Objection, Your Honor, beyond the scope.
Sustained.
You were pointed to a search warrant. Your understanding of the ultimate arrest was trafficking in firearms, right?
That was a conviction.
Okay. And a good amount of people were escorted out of the house. So that was consistent with the information that you had and used to make a plan for safe entry into the house. Was there the fact that there were a lot of people there, right?
I wasn't part of the SWAT team at that time, so I didn't make the plan or what the plan was for all of these people at that time.
Okay. In any event, there were more than one person in the house, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Again,
Well said. Will you ask the witness to be excused, please?
All right. we missed the
why
round.
did she need to ask
Any objection to his being excused?
questions she didn't know the answer to?
This witness is excused.
She just comes off as, I really don't understand her strategy. She has some hits and then she has a lot of misses, and
Thank you.
and she's
Yes.
messing up all the time. It baffles me that she can keep asking questions on cross that doesn't make any sense, and it's impossible to see. Maybe there's some witness down the line that can help me with the NCIC database search, why they didn't connect to the owner of the firearm. We heard earlier there was some problem with the serial number, so maybe someone wrote something down the wrong way, but she didn't go anywhere. She started out, used 10 minutes to ask about something, and then just gave up. It's like me on a diet. The first day is very good, and then it's downhill from there. It's this woman, she amazes me, and it's for 3 days now. She does the same thing every time. She starts out pretty good, then she loses completely where she's going, then she messes up her questions, her evidence, and I'm dreading if they want to put Adam on the stand. She can lead them into all kinds of trouble if she is this disorganized. Earlier today, she was very close to opening the door for other evidence they probably didn't want into this case, and I could see that she just blundered into something very stupid because she can't stop talking. It amazes me that people can't she see herself that it's not going anywhere. Maybe she's just trying to confuse the jury, make them believe she has something. Because I was
All right, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes, as I've said before, evidence takes longer to come in than we expect, or it comes in a little more quickly. Today it was a little more quickly than was anticipated. So we are done for today.
Oh.
So I'm going to release you a little bit early today. I'm going to remind you, do not discuss this
Before
case,
9
not
o'clock,
with each
that was
other
quick.
or with anybody else. Don't look up any witnesses, or don't drive by any locations. Don't do any independent research about the law. You will need to decide your verdict based exclusively on the evidence that's presented here at trial and the law as the court will give it to you in its instructions. As I had previously told you, we are not going to have trial tomorrow. So you do not need to come tomorrow, but we will start up having come at 8:45 on Wednesday morning. So 8:45 Wednesday morning, and we will resume the evidence. Again, please make sure to avoid any media, newspaper coverage, online coverage, radio coverage of this case. Give your paper to your neighbors. And
well, it was a fast evening for me. Only about an hour and 20 minutes. I'm not unhappy because Elaine, she F's me off, and I really didn't want to hear her stumble through another cross-examination. I can't understand this woman. But what did the police officers show us? I really don't get what the face palm. I really don't get where she was going with anything. Are they talking in court? Oh,
do you need a transport order first of all?
Yes, Your Honor. I know we had originally requested, I believe, I think we had originally requested.
it sounds like someone is incarcerated, so they need to get him transported. We can't hear anything. Well, back to my rounding off of this. But let's just say today, did we learn anything in the afternoon? No. We learned that the police can get your cell phone data. So remember, everybody, if you're killing anyone or stealing something, don't bring your phone. Don't videotape yourself doing it. And this morning, the ex-wife, I thought it wasn't a good witness for the prosecution. She gave me the EBGBs because I really didn't think that she came off all this credible, and that's a problem for the prosecution because she was the one who was supposed to put the gun in the house, and that's gonna be a problem, I think, for this case. And the biggest problem is that we have a lot of people. Yeah, she did absolutely not seem trustworthy. Every time she couldn't remember anything, he said, "Oh, do you remember?" You said, "Yeah, sure, I remember everything." She was. It's not coached, but he showed her which way she should go. And anyone who watched the Zachariah Anderson trial, I almost got the feeling like the DA in that case mouthing along to a witness to get him to say die, 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 and this is not a good way. It hasn't been a good day for the prosecution this afternoon. Technical evidence doesn't matter, and this morning I thought it was a bad day. Day one was pretty good. The witnesses were drug addicts. You couldn't really rely on them, but they seem genuine. They said what they couldn't remember. Maybe sometimes they feel a bit like the prosecutor held their hand. The sorry guy. There's someone who's not willing to testify. So we can go back and see that.
Well, I don't know if it was from south or from north,
Come on. Press the right button. This button.
but either way, I think we can figure that out.
Attorney Knowles is telling me that Mr. Harsher's current charges are out of Nashville.
Okay. So let me just ask, Attorney Smith, do you want to say something? Do you have something to add on this?
Something intelligent.
Just on the issue that he has pending charges, and that is fodder for cross-examination.
His pending charges and the relevance.
Motive to say something to get a good plea or something.
But you're not planning to ask about the underlying facts of those cases, just that he has them.
I have not fully determined that because we're still sort of trying to get documentation, but
What would be the relevance of that? I mean,
If
other
he's-
than trying to get him to invoke the privilege.
no, but if he is saying that he is guilty of the charges and wants to curry favor in order to get a better deal, if he's not guilty of the charges, he doesn't have to curry favor to get a better deal. If he's concerned that he'll get convicted, all of that is fodder.
I don't think we have a basis to make any of those assumptions, Your Honor. An individual who's already saying.
I understand what she's saying, that she would like to say that if he testifies, it's to.
Whether or not they thought they were going to get some sort of a resolution out of this, but with the facts that we have been presented with Mr. Harsher, with refusal to transport over here, the nature of whatever he is accused to do is irrelevant to the question of his credibility on the stand.
And you're, well, not sure I agree with that, but I don't want to wait till he gets on the stand. So we need to, I think we need to figure out who his lawyer is, see if we can get the lawyer here on Wednesday morning.
Or would you like to try to do it sooner, Your Honor? Would you like us to try to find out who that attorney is?
Well, this is technicalities because we had a witness today who didn't want to testify either. That's why we are ending early, I believe. He pled the fifth. But today, nothing much was learned. We learned that you can not hide your phone in an eco ATM, and you learned that not all lawyers understand that you have to understand what you're going to ask questions about, and maybe be sure to ask questions you want to have answered in court. I'm not sure Elaine wanted all her questions answered, but this means I can go over and watch David finishing off the Rudolph trial. If it's not finished, I will. I would. I can't even English right now. I would encourage all of you to go to David's channel, MLS Law Show. He's covering the NFL killer trial, as it's named on YouTube. But it's about to wrap over there, and this is. It's off tomorrow, and we'll be back Wednesday morning, I believe. I do have an exam this week, so I'll just have to find out when that is. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you Wednesday, I hope. And if not, still have a nice evening.